Hey everyone, what a creative and intelligence audience we have, intelligence viewer we have. I hope you all enjoyed the activity. We have another activity lined up, but it is a time to go back to the learning mode, and we have another great speaker who will give a talk on when anyone can build agencies when by knowing what worth building and why. Uh, Let me call Shahir Gadit on the stage. So Shahir is the CEO of Articos. We'll discuss why deep audience understanding is one of the most defensive advantage an agency can have. So we have Shahir on the stage. So welcome Shahir on the agency advantage.
Thank you, Danish. Thank you for having me.
So without any further ado, the stage is yours. You can start the presentation.
Thank you. Let me share my screen. Um, so, Hello everyone. This is Shahir. I'm the founder and CEO of Articos. Super excited to be here. I before starting Articos, I used to be a part of the Cloudways team. I used to be responsible for product management, and I'm also part of the founding team that built Cloudways Autonomous. Kudos to the Cloudways team for putting up this amazing event together, and I'm looking forward to this session where we can talk about agencies win by knowing what's worth building and why. Uh, so let's get started. I think all the agencies, they are very well aware of everything that's happening in the AI arena, and there is a lot of anxiety as well among a lot of agencies that, like, how do we stay relevant? How do we find our differentiation? How do we find our mode when everything is changing so fast? AI is making building things so easy. So I will just go ahead and have a quick session about how we are seeing agencies find edge and differentiation in this age and time. So, as we all know, AI is not only making building things uh, faster, but also making it much more cheaper than it used to be before. And it's not just about building websites or writing code, but it's also about, if you want to do marketing campaign, you want to generate creatives, you want to generate emails for your clients. All of this is obviously now possible with AI, and it's getting much more faster and much more cheaper. And now that building stuff has gotten so much easier and it has gotten so much cheaper, that is accessible to almost everyone, the one thing that is really important is I think there are two things that are really important. One is decision making, and the other is judgment. How good your decision making is, how much do you understand that what the target audience actually wants, what are their pain points, what is something that would resonate with them, how they would react to something. Because obviously, as something gets cheaper and easier, a lot of people would try to do it, and they would not do it with the quality that the end user would like. So there is a lot of AI smoke and that is something that would resonate with the users. So earlier, before the AI era, usually what agencies would do is that they would find their differentiation and they would find their mode through usually around a couple of things. Either it's speed and the turnaround time, like how quickly they can uh, develop the project and how fast they are as compared to the in-house team of a client, how much capacity they can augment into the client's team, and how deep down expertise they have on the technical front. Now, all of this is, if not completely, slowly getting irrelevant because of AI. Because speed, obviously, you can't compete with the speed of AI. Capacity, again, you can spin up as many AI agents you want. Obviously, it comes with a cost, but still, usually it's cheaper than what it used to be. And again, technical knowledge, you can't beat LLMs in that because they are super smart. And as a result of that, stuff internally. So with that, when everything is changing so fast, what we are seeing is that now the moat is not about how well or how fast agencies can build. It is more about how well they know what to build. So again, judgment and decision making is the name of the game here, and how much you really understand your client's target audience. Again, who are they? What are their pain points? What's that would resonate with them? All of these things. If you have a good hold on that, if you really understand that, you're gonna win your clients. You're gonna do a better job at them, and this is how we think that your agency can have a more in this age and time. So if you have deep understanding of the target audience of your client, it can help you in several ways. Like, let's say you had a new client come in and they are in a completely different industry that you have never worked before, and they serve in a completely different vertical. If you understand their target audience better, and then when you go out and pitch them, and you come across as someone who knows their target audience pretty well and knows the ins and out, and maybe knows them better than themselves, so that is something that can really make you stand out against several agencies that are pitching the same client. And when you deliver the work for them, obviously, if you know the target audience better, you can do a better job at your job. It's very important to know what's the right thing to build. And obviously, when you do all of this, you have all the right to charge a premium to your client. So there are two sort of pathways that we see agencies taking right now broadly. One is outbuild, like you just keep on and try to build faster, build cheaper, and try to find your edge through that. But what I feel like is that there is more like a race towards the bottom now, because these things are going to get faster, these things are going to get cheaper, and it's going to be harder and harder to compete, and your margins are going to be thinner and thinner. The other option is you out understand. So what that really means is that you have deep user insights, you have deep understanding of the target audience that you're building for. What are they fear? What will they pay for? And things like these. When you have deep understanding of that, if that is something that we can do and that can give us an edge, why not every agency is doing it, and why all of them are not doing user research or understanding about the target audience? The problem with doing that traditionally is that if you go towards the traditional route of user research, you could spend up to 8 weeks and thousands of dollars doing that, because it is so slow and expensive, and it is just not possible in the budget and timeline that a agency has. You have to go out, you have to find people, you have to talk to them, and then you just do all the analysis. And if you go to a research company, that is obviously, again, that's gonna break your bank again. So it's not so accessible today, but we also see a paradigm shift here with AI, which I'm gonna talk about in a moment. uh, the trap that agencies fall in usually is that, okay, we'll just like do chat gpt, or we'll ask llm about it. The problem is that llms are demographically and geographically, they are biased, and they just give you the opinion of a very certain biased audience. And hence you will never, if you just like plain ask chat gpt about the target audience and what's working for them and what's not working for them, you will never get an honest, grounded answer. And hence again, you will be sort of guessing your way out of it. However, AI and articles, we have now used AI to flip that research economics, to change the research timeline from weeks into minutes, and allow the agencies and others to have more grounded insights in a fraction of time and cost. So what we do is that we allow you to simulate your target audience using AI, and we have our own proprietary technology that allows you to create really grounded persona in the real world data that would simulate in the real world uh, when you're doing research at articles. And this allows you to get user insights and understand the target audience much faster and at a much cheaper cost. So here's a quick example of one of the agencies who recently became our customer and tried using Articles. So this agency had a customer who is a big DTC skincare client, and they wanted to do a rebranding of their brand in a new region. So they just wanted to understand like how this market is going to work, like what are the positioning angle, messaging angle they should go with, who is the buyer, what objections they can face in the new market, and what's the overall rebranding that could work with them. So they came to Articos and they ran all of this research at Articos, where they tested what's the right messaging. They did research, they did discovery research on the customer, like who is the buyer, what are their workflows, what are their pain points, what would resonate with them, what's something that would not resonate with them. And they were able to get the results that usually takes 8 weeks and thousands of dollars in 28 minutes at a fraction of cost. And they were able to do a pretty good job for your clients, for their clients, and their clients were pretty happy with the overall branding work that they were able to deliver. So just to quickly conclude, we are well under time, so we'll have enough time for Q&A as well. uh, there are three ways like you can understand your edge if you like want to implement this in your business. Next time when you are pitching your client, go in with knowing their target audience better than them, better than your clients know them. Have complete information about who they are, what are their workflows, and what would resonate with them. Build the right thing before you commit to building anything. Understand the users again and see if that is something that you should build or not. And obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I think in the post AI era, agencies cannot win by outbuilding. They can win by out understanding and really understanding the target audience very well. If you would like to understand more about Articles and how you can use Articles and AI first research in your business, feel free to scan this QR code and do a quick call with me. I would be more than happy to walk you over. With that, thank you so much. I think that's all I had. If anyone has any questions, I would be more than happy to answer.
Am I audible? Okay. Thank you so much for the presentation, Shahir. Can I see some reactions on the stage for the wonderful presentation on what you can build uh, on your agencies? So let's quickly jump on the Q&A session. So let me filter out the questions, the latest questions we have for Shahir. So, Shay, if we can take, as I can see, we have multiple questions for you. So, I would request you to hang around in the Q&A section to answer those questions, but we can take some of them here as well. So, the question is, what should agencies measure to prove that their audience intelligence is creating a lasting competitive advantage rather than simply improving individual campaigns? I can also ping the question on the screen so you can also read it out.
Yeah, if you can put the question on the screen, I was not sure if I was able to follow.
Hmm. So the question, I can repeat the question. So it is also on the screen. So what should agencies measure to prove that their audience intelligence is creating the lasting competitive advantage rather than simply improving individual campaigns?
Okay, thank you for the question. So I think the way we look at it is not a one and done and a one-off exercise that you do. And the way agencies can measure their success through that is obviously once you do that, you'll feel like you're getting a good pushback on what you were working on. And then when you deliver to the client, you can understand that how they feel about their uh, the work that you delivered, and how much reference do you get out of it. And I think then most importantly, all these personas and all these audience that we build, uh, they are self-improving and they get evolved over time. So you can reuse them across multiple projects, and if there's another project or a campaign you're working on, you can again reuse them and get more insight. So this is how like it compounds over.
So I think we can take another question as we have time for the Q&A. So how can agencies create a culture where I just missed it. Okay. So how can agencies create a culture where every team member from strategic to design to account lead use audience understanding to guide decisions?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. This is something that we are also working at Articos to. So there are some of the agencies that use Articos. They have like internally created this sort of. They have made this a part of their SOP that every time that they are doing any customer facing work, every time they are working on a pitch, any proposal, any deliverable, it is very important for them to run it first through the simulated audience to understand if this is something that they should go ahead with or not. So we are also working on becoming that layer that exists within the agencies to be always available, always there for the customer to understand if this is something that they should go ahead with or not, to get that outcome.
I think there is a lag on your side, Shahir, so we missed the last part of your answer.
Sorry, what was the last thing you heard? Sorry about the lag.
Like last 10 seconds, we lost you.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was saying is that what we see across the agencies that are using Articos today is that they have built an internal SOP that every time they're doing any client-facing work, either it's delivering something, either it's working on a proposal, or they're delivering something to the client, it's very necessary for them to run it through Articos and test if this is something that's really going to work. So this is how we are seeing agencies build that sort of culture. We are also working closely with agencies because the way we envision Articos is that it becomes that always available layer for agencies, which can help them make better decisions. So we are also working towards that vision.
Great. We have a lot of other questions as well, and I would again request you to hang around in the Q&A session. And it was really wonderful to listen to you. Like you also spent some time in Cloudways, and you have your opinion as an agency owner. So I hope the viewers learn something new from you. So we have Shahir on the screen. The next is I would like to thank to Shahir first for this amazing insightful session. Uh, the next we have is a panel discussion. So we have people from Velos, WP Umbrella, and Group One. So we will be right back right after a few minutes to start the panel discussion. So stay tuned. We will be back with the panel discussion.